I'm Arnold Wilson. I'm the Tribal Liaison for the Dixie Fire. So Tribal Liaison is, they're here to facilitate communication coordination with local tribal governments that are affected by the fire. We have to address the various beliefs, benefits, and practices that these tribal members use for a lot of the areas. Because remember, a lot of these traditional use areas used to be Indian land, and then over time they've transferred over to a lot of public agencies like the Forest Service or BLM or the Park Service. And in this case, the Dixie had actually all three entities. You know, we had the Forest Service, had two of them. The Park Service was also involved, in the BLM. So all agencies do this. When we start looking at the fire, we look at the database, and you're seeing all these sites, and I think the agencies reps were scratching their head going, what does this really mean, and how can we fix that? We have to consult, we have to work cooperatively with the tribes and talk about the impacts. So we have 4 federally recognized tribes that actually are within the footprint of the Dixie Fire or their use areas. We have the Greenville Rancheria, which they were impacted by the fire. Susanville Rancheria is the other one, and then we have the Pitt River to the north, and then the Washoe down to the south towards Reno. Those are the primary ones that we are dealing with. So federally recognized tribes are tribes that have been recognized. Basically, the government is acknowledging that they are an entity that used to use this area, and they're actually they give them that sovereign status, and that's a really critical thing, because that's where the trust responsibility from the government comes back and really starts to look at saying, okay, hey, there's these folks who are impacted. Now we have to work government to government with these communities because they are sovereign nations, and we have to respect that. So it's really at that level that I think the government communication has to occur in the relationship building. I think the Dixie Fire actually highlighted a couple of things, and I'll have that in my report and in my final report as recommendations to the forest, where I think that communication that was established by my predecessors, there was a couple of tribal liaisons that came before me, and they've done an excellent job in establishing that, contacting the tribes and actually sharing information, communicating with them, and giving them information, taking them on field trips and so forth, and made my job easier as I came in. And of course I was on the backside, so it was really kind of putting everything to some sense of closure for those areas that were impacted by the fire. I think in the future I see this as a standard to a lot of the incidents that are occurring, because I think this whole thing is all about relationship building, and that's why they order a tribal liaison.